So I was going to do this review, but my sister's therapist moved into a haunted house with a picket fence, and now I can't see through. The irony of this joke is taking way too long. So yes, hello, we are reviewing Phoebe Bridgers' new album, Lost Weekend. Phoebe's first album in 6 years, can you believe it? If you don't count Boy Genius, that is. But it begs the question, is Phoebe doing anything original anymore, or did she become the template? There is a clear evolution to Phoebe's music. I would say it gets better with every release, going all the way back to 2017 with Stranger in the Alps. The production is relatively sparse compared to what she would do later. Acoustic guitar, piano, strings, very folky, and this stripped back sort of percussion. Whereas The Punisher, she takes that basic formula from Stranger in the Alps and makes it bigger and more atmospheric. The lyrics feel more fleshed out with this dry sense of humour played in the lyricism. You'll have something very serious undercut by something quite ridiculous. Sounds a bit like a coping mechanism. Which brings us to Lost Weekend, and this isn't just a Punisher Part 2. I think there's a big risk of sounding the same, especially in this genre, but Phoebe manages to up her game. The production is superb. The list on the credits goes on forever, it feels like, but you have Jack Antonoff, Bo Burnham. Bo Burnham's on here? This time we get something more focused on the music than her voice. The Punisher felt airy and spacious, really giving room for that vocal of hers. But here they're drifting along ethereal, ambient distortion and really fun sound design. The opener unexpectedly opens to an homage of Imogen Heap or Laurie Anderson, depending on your age. It's so hard to step away from that Imogen Heap comparison, especially when you're using like auto-tune or a vocoder, or in Imogen's case, the Digitech, but she's interpreted it really well, making it something of her own. I love the transition to her naked vocals, back to the vocoder, then to her vocals again. And the album is full of quaint little stylized sound design moments. Kill Me, a slow, melancholic song. The instrumental build-up is beautiful. The sound design at 3 minutes with that really heavy, distorted kick is so emotional. And then we get Cameron Winter's lovely vocals. What's not to love here? And that's what's nice about this album, it does like to mix it up a little bit. Stepping into some interesting sounds with Lost Weekend, for example. And then you have these like synthesizers mixed in with what sounds like guitars and maybe a sitar. Either way, it's really beautiful and theatrical, and it kind of reminiscent of those early noughties pop songs like Imogen Heap, Dido, that sort of thing. If only all the tracks on the album could be this good, right? Realistically, you have all the qualities of a 10 out of 10 album here. Phoebe Bridgers really does stand out in that indie scene. Unfortunately, because the album is quite long track-wise, a few songs do fall a bit short compared to the others, whether it be the pop chart-friendly Lost Boys, dealing with emotionally stunted men, or perhaps it's songs like Governor's Ball that really start to grow on you the more you listen. These particular songs don't stand out on their own, but as a whole, the album is really cohesive. And it's not just the music that takes the spotlight. Phoebe takes you on an emotional tour of the troubles of being alive. Loss, grief, living in sadness. Lyrically, after 6 years, you might be wondering if she's lost that satirical, sad edge to her lyrics. But she's come back more poetic and heartbreaking than ever. Governor's Ball, whilst a little bit self-absorbed, okay, it does have some nice quips about everyone's favourite pop nepo child. The gut-wrenching other plans, or perhaps it's the childhood trauma and losing your father in Standing Still. And of course, these are all played to the sounds of guitars, dissonant atmospheres, and her whispering vocals. But it's not until the latter half of the album that things start to feel a little bit rushed. Songs become shorter and shorter. And in typical Icy Snaps fashion, I really love that 55-second interlude track, Lost Parade. It's the sound of being happy in the background, completely swallowed by a whirlwind of noise. An audible representation of depression if I ever heard it. One of the songs I didn't really enjoy was Never Going Back. It felt weirdly tinny and overbearing, and it was bizarrely mixed. Considering how well the rest of the album sounds, it just felt out of place. Ironically, I find the most indie sounding songs on this album to be the weakest. Bobby, Haunted, for example, I mean, they're not bad songs by any means, but they just didn't stand out as much to me as many of the others. Similarly with Liberty Tree, yeah, except I really like the latter half of that song when it gets a bit more ambient. But this is saved and brought back by the penultimate track, I Can't Wait. Musically, it's stunning. There's so much going on, but it all works harmoniously. And then we get some more vocals from Cameron, and there's something about Cameron Winter and Phoebe's vocals that just work so perfectly together. But there's these weird cut-offs at the end of these songs featuring Cameron that's just so jarring, and it just really takes you out of the moment, especially as it flows into As Above, a song that calmly plays you out over the overwhelming emotion of the instruments throughout the album. Another heartfelt song from Phoebe about her dad, and you can hear that emotion when her voice rises with the build-up. The vocals and instrumentation is a little drowned in reverb, but it really works with the theme and emotion of the song. As a whole, the album really does come together as an impressive comeback. But did Phoebe Bridgers become the template? Well, maybe she did, but if everyone has spent the last 6 years trying to be Phoebe Bridgers, the best way to stay ahead is to stop being like Phoebe Bridgers whilst also being like Phoebe Bridgers, right? And that's exactly what she's doing here. She's trying something new. The Lost Weekend isn't better than Punisher because it's bigger or sadder. It's better because it feels like she's trying something new and growing her sound. As a whole, it's one cohesive triumph. And honestly, after 6 years, that's all I could have asked for. So all in all, I would give this album an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought now below. Feel free to check out another video here. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever you like. And yeah, hopefully catch you on the next one. Mwah.